Hey, how's it going, guys? It's your host, Chris Hurtado, here again with another Hurtastic Reviews. It's Friday today, so we all know what that means, right? Jonesy, she's sitting next to me. Fridays are Foreign Film Fridays. It's our first ever. Let's do it. I figured with today's first foreign film that I would start off with one of the best foreign films I've ever seen. And it's actually considered one of the best as well, and it's always in if you do top 10, top 100 movies to watch before you die, this movie is always on that list. And actually, I stumbled upon it because the title just really captured me. And back home when I was in community college, I just put it on one day. But without further ado, let's kick off this Foreign Film Friday with the film City of God. Now, City of God is a foreign film it's from Brazil, and it came out in 2002. It actually garnered 4 Oscar nominations. It didn't win any of them, but it definitely was for Best Director, which is the director Fernando Morales, I believe is how you say it, Morales. Either way, he directed this, so he got a nom for that. Film editing, best cinematography, and I think best screenplay. But he was only nominated, didn't win. But here, if you can't see it, City of God. Man, what can be said about this movie? But I guess let's start with the premise, right? So the movie takes place in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And City of God, which they say in Brazilian, I forget. Basically, the translation, City of God, is a suburb slum of Rio de Janeiro. It's just like a slum section of Rio de Janeiro. And if you don't know anything about the city itself, if you watch the 2014 World Cup, news came out, it is a horrible and miserable place to live. It's full of poverty and gangs and drugs and corruption. And this movie really brings that all to light in a very almost personal way. I feel like the director, Fernando, directed this with a sensitivity that really, I think he might have experienced some of this stuff in his life, and you can really see it. But the movie takes place in the 1960s, and it goes all the way to the early 1980s, so 20 years. And it's about this character, this boy named Rocket. And Rocket was just a little kid when the movie starts, and his older brother and his gang, which was just him and 2 friends, they rob basically to survive, and Rocket is always tagged along with Rocket's friend, Lil Dice. And one day the 3 gang guys, they hold up a motel, and they don't plan on it. It even says, it's beautiful because it's narrated above during the scene, and the 3 guys don't plan on killing anybody, but Lil Dice, who's like the younger friend, basically doesn't take very kindly when they tell him to look out for police. He feels like he's getting cheated out, and he just he's not all there. He's a very violent kid, and he gives off this warning signal that the police are coming, and it's a false hey, the police are coming, when they're really not, just to get the kids out. And he actually just ends up killing everybody and actually kills Rocket's brother. So that's just the start of the movie. So after that, we grow up watching Rocket, and actually Rocket is also grown side by side with Lil Dice, who ends up changing his name to Lil Zay, and Lil Zay ends up becoming the biggest gang turf leader in the City of God, and he does that in murderous ways. He kills and knocks out the whole competition, grabs a bunch of other young kids who are poor kids, and makes them join the gang. And he actually recruits this character named Benny. And Benny is smarter than Zay. Zay is just ruthless and just will kill. And Benny has the smarts, so they know who to kill and who to rob and pay off police. The drugs start coming in. And Rocket is actually watching this stuff from a distance. He's being raised watching this, because he actually ends up living with a bunch of hippies in an apartment complex that's known for drugs. And actually, he just has always paid attention to Lil Zay, because Lil Zay killed his older brother, but Lil Zay didn't kill Rocket because he felt bad. And Rocket gets kind of lost in his mind anyway, because he has bigger things to worry about. But Rocket ends up picking up photography, and he's always taking pictures of things, especially like the people he's with, which are like hippie druggies. And they don't want anything to do with the violence that's taking place in the streets, the slums. But Rocket ends up liking this girl named Angelica, who's actually whose boyfriend is like another like rival to Lose, but they're kind of like working together. But Rocket really loves her, but then she breaks up with the guy that she's with and ends up being with Lil Zay's friend and partner, Benny. And Benny eventually wants to leave the trade in that life, but Lil Zay is not happy at all with that. And I won't spoil what's going on, but basically after that stuff happens, Lil Zay goes on a rampage and starts this gang turf warfare that actually spans 10 to 15 years. And Rocket is just taking photographs of this. He's just trying to get out, and eventually he runs into a reporter who about this time has realized, you know what, this is a really good story and a lot of great photographs that Rocket's taken, and a lot of those pictures are Lose and like the gang and like what they were doing and the drugs and stuff like that, and they hire Rocket to take more pictures and stuff. Because actually the city of God is impenetrable because of Lose. Like, no reporters ever go in there because they're just freaked out that they're going to die. So Rocket ends up doing that. And yeah, he eventually wants to become a journalist, which he's already basically doing. Basically he has a confrontation with Lose. And I won't get too much because this is honestly an amazing movie. And I don't want to ruin a lot of it. I'm giving you like the basic premise stuff that's going to hit you. But basically, at the end, is a really kind of depressing, but like, it's a satisfying ending in one way, but it's also really realistic and sad in the same respect. Because you want to have closure all around, but unfortunately, this film won't give you that. And I really applaud it for that. I think I've said enough about the story itself without ruining a lot, because you really just have to watch it. But I hope that entices you just to check out the movie, because I think it's on Netflix. But yeah, a little bit more about this movie. It's shot in a very interesting way with different angles. It has a lot of flashbacks and explanations, so you really can't get lost too much other than with the names, because there's a lot of characters. Like one of the drug rivals, his name's like Carrot. And, you have to track him, and then you have to track another gang leader's name and what happens to them and stuff like that. But the main characters are Lil Zay and Rocket. That's really the story. It's really just about surviving your environment and doing... in one respect, it takes the lead of doing what you have to do to survive, which is what Lil Zay does. He knows the only way to live in the city of God is by controlling and getting rid of anyone and everyone who's in your way, and recruiting everyone to stay on your side. In the other respect, Rocket tries to find some sort of skill or talent he has and harness it to get himself out of the slums. And this movie almost had me crying, because you can't believe this stuff is really happening or has happened, but it all has and still is. And the movie even says it's based on a true story, and that's why it garnered so much critical reception, because a lot of it looks like real footage in a way, and you can still see it on the news. And I'm not trying to get preachy at all about it, but this movie really hit me, just because you think about the world outside the lenses, and sometimes it doesn't change. Sometimes you're just seeing it for real, and that's what City of God really is about. And it's ironic that it's called the City of God, because it's like a hell. It really is. But it's a fantastic movie, seriously. I would say if you're someone who doesn't like honest, realistic, dark storytelling of realistic events, and kind of like a somber ending, this movie might not be for you. But I think seriously, if you're taking yourself as a serious movie fan, or you want to get into foreign films, this would be an amazing start, I think. And you don't see a lot of Brazilian films or South American films, to say for the most part. When you think of foreign films, you think of European and a lot of Eastern Asian. But this movie does a great job of like standing out amongst the crowd. It's very honest, really. A little bit more about that is, as being a soccer fan or a football fan is what I say. You see a lot of athletes who come from Sao Paulo or Rio de Janeiro. You hear about they grew up in the slums. This movie kind of shows like those kind of guys and women too who like grew up there and got out of it, and it's so heartbreaking to see how they had to live their lives to get where they're at. And it shows soccer because Brazil has a very rich soccer history, especially during the time it's taken place, and it does touch on that a little bit, which is another like reason why I really enjoy this film. One thing I do also want to say is like with the ending again, especially, you kind of would get upset a little, but at the same time you understand why things are how they are. But I won't get too much into what is actually going on. But yeah, City of God, what a fantastic film. I've seen it only once. I watched it a second time, and it's still amazing as always. So if you're into photography and journalism, this would be a great watch. If you're looking to like knock another film off your checklist of like a must-watch movie, this is definitely it. If you're a fan of like just learning about history in different parts of the world, this will also accomplish it. And let me just talk about the cover for a second. Like, this is just gorgeous right here, the way it's portrayed, because you have like the beauty of Brazil, and then at the bottom you have the harsh reality within it sometimes. But yeah, City of God. For the Hertastic reviews, this is a 4 out of 5 easily right here, 4 out of 5. It is a longer movie. It's about 2.5 hours long. Let me see if I can get it. 130 minutes long. So it's a little longer, and it's foreign, but the raw energy this movie has is going to keep you on your seat, or it's going to be just too much bleakness in a way to maybe turn you away. And you'll know that within the first 25 minutes or so, if this movie's for you. You have to applaud it, honestly. And when it comes to movies that are a little more harsh and honest and realistic, I always applaud it. It's hard to capture that sometimes. I know there's sometimes arguments of the movie's too brutal, the movie's too mean-spirited, it's too bleak. I get that. I really do. For me as a film watcher, it doesn't bother me. I guess what the content is and the message trying to say is what really gets me. And it's mostly from what I'm feeling what the director's trying to tell me. Outside of what the script is, but like what kind of message he's trying to say. And this movie accomplishes that. But yeah, City of God, get it. It's a super cheap Blu-ray. I'm going to set it down for a second because I just want to thank everyone for watching the video today and who's been actually subscribing to my letterbox. I know I have to keep up on that. I'll work on some more reviews. Probably would do one on City of God soon. If you enjoyed this channel, the videos, I would definitely recommend also checking out Nathan's channel, Nathan Jones, my friend, my competitor almost in a way. I'm always usually on his channel doing goofy stuff. Maybe not as seriously toned how it is here. I like to just goof around with him. But he's got some good stuff. And I'll post a link to his channel on there in the description. But seriously, all I can say is please like, comment, and subscribe if you would. Comment something, and I'll most likely just message you with a digital code to a movie. Just my giveaway, and thank you for critiquing and giving me feedback. I always am looking for that. But yeah, like I said, these have been the Hertastic reviews. I thank you all for giving me your time. I hope you have a wonderful day and a pleasant tomorrow. This is Chris just signing off. See you, everyone.